Meet Will Scharf. He is Donald Trump's staff secretary for both terms. He would also be considered the gatekeeper. The staff secretary, they are the White House gatekeeper. They're also, known as the auto pen. Such as here, the auto pen, Donald Trump's signature to this far radical men, these women-hating men. That's what they are, just like Charlie Kirk was, every single one of them. I think it's a closeted homosexual club. I do. Do I have any evidence for that? No, but I think it'll come out. Because it all goes back to these fraternities, but I don't even care about the homosexual part. It's the women-hating stuff. That's what I couldn't stand the most about Charlie Kirk. So then when Will Scharf sends me a email telling me what a great American Kirk was and tells me how I need to stand by his values, he's out of his mind, showing that he's just like Kirk. And then he signs it with the auto pen of the White House. Yeah, he's this guy that brings all the... He was there for both Trump's terms, too. Same role. So all those emails I sent during his first term because of the blacklisted cameras in Northwestern that Trump had blacklisted, a certain company. And when Northwestern put him in the week of lockdowns, I took pictures of him. And I sent email. No wonder that, and it went nowhere. But then this term, because I pissed him off. That's the reason he sent me that email. I pissed him off because his little friend, Charlie Kirk, I didn't like. Well, too bad. He was part of in Princeton, he's from Princeton. Talk about elitism. He was in a club called the Eating Club. The Eating Club. Only elite children can get into that club. But they would treat women like shit. Will Scharf. Charlie Kirk was my friend. I miss him. Rest in peace, Charlie. Your memory is a blessing to all of us. Not to women. Not to women. You're all the same. I'm a psych nurse, so I pay attention to things that maybe other people wouldn't. And that was one of the underlying things about Charlie Kirk, is that any chance he could in his subtle ways to dig at women, he did. That's the reason he wanted them to be submissive. They need to know their place. We need to venerate Mary because that will get rid of toxic feminism. And he would go, and I was never a woman's right woman, never, because I've been a conservative my whole life. Okay? But again, it was men like these people that started the women's movement and then exploited them. Because again, the women's right movement was created they wouldn't have had the money. They didn't have any rights. But Charlie Kirk never wanted to tell that story. But these non-masculine men are like that. This is your far right, non-masculine men. Your far left, you have no masculinity too. What you have with these men is a bully. They just like to be bullies against women. That's not masculinity. That's just, some mental illness, some personality problem there. But he controls everything. So he would have normally, just like he did during the first term, just ignore all my emails, okay? And I get there's a ton of emails that come in there. But I just started thinking today, I'm like, do we really need all these layers? I get that Donald Trump himself can't go through everyone's emails. But do you see why it's termed a gatekeeper? Because then if it's things that you don't align with them on, and there's nothing that Will Schaefer and I, just like there's nothing Charlie Kirk and I would ever agree on, most especially because I'm a female. So I need to hush up. So see, that just makes me want to get louder. And I'm not a feminist. Again, I didn't support the feminist movement. But see, the club he was in called the Eating Club in Princeton, it was an all-male club. That's why I said a lot of these secret societies, I think they're filled, especially when they're rude. And and nasty to women. I think many times it's a closeted homosexual thing, and they just want to attack women. They prove the Bible again, because God said forever that the wicked one would be going after Eve. Yeah, and he was on Charlie Kirk's show, and so that's what's in common. It's like, like Trump has the true, genuine masculinity, but these people like Charlie, he was a bully to women. He tried to tone it down at times, but he was just, you could tell, like, I think he was just maybe afraid of them. And then, he's never been married, nothing. His parents, ironically, are tied to Jewish funding. And I came across this, isn't this interesting, a month ago, how Charlie Kirk made me an Orthodox Jew, Adam Scharf. Same last name. But you can't find anything about Will Scharf. I guess it's just a coincidence, huh? But because I think Will Scharf is, I don't know how much he's practicing, but he's an Orthodox Jew. Again, a total misguided religion. But, that's what they want to do. That's fine. But as far as his little club, the eating club in Princeton, it was upperclassmen created in 1890, called the Tiger Inn. Tiger Inn and related Princeton eating clubs has historically been problematic, with significant issues surrounding sexism and misogyny, until legal and social pressures in late 20th century. Yeah, because women went to court. And I mean, if you're treating the women like shit, then they would want to be included, maybe to get you to stop treating them like shit. Until legal and social pressures in the 20th century, these clubs were exclusively male, and even after the laws changed, there have been documented incidents of misogynistic behavior. So Charlie Kirk was like this. These men are like this, okay? That's what this turning point is about. It's why it is so toxic. It's not toxic masculinity, because they don't have any. It's just toxic. And you could see the inn and other clubs often engaged in sexist behavior, including hazing, drunken revelry, and explicit conduct. Reports from the 1900s indicate that the club had a reputation for boisterous, fraternity-like environment that sometimes fostered disrespectful treatment for women. For example, in the 1980s and 90s, there were instances of sexist emails of all things, right? Emails of all things, because this Shirkoff and his auto pen email. There were instances of sexist emails, like in the email he sent me from whitehouse.gov, he put "Dear Mr." in my last name. So I know Donald Trump had nothing to do with that, because Donald Trump isn't that, stupid, first of all. But he did that on purpose, because it's like, because, he has to be careful. I'm sure he would have wanted to say much worse to me. There were instances of sexist emails circulating among club members, explicit photos shared within the club, and public allegations of sexual misconduct. These incidents led to investigations, disciplinary actions, and efforts to reform the culture. But you never can reform these cultures, because these men, they come from these elite families. I don't know. They're just born with, no masculinity, and then they go on to try to act like they have masculinity by treating women like shit. That's what Charlie Kirk did. Those are not men that have masculinity. And then he was charged back in 2007 because of this club and not like carding minors and giving alcohol. But of course he got off, because he's an elite that graduated Princeton and Harvard, and a lawyer, of course. So yeah, so he got off, and then he said he was going to go after civilly everyone, but he never did. But they had wristbands to make sure that everybody that came in was 21, and 2 girls got wasted, and yeah. So can you just imagine? I'm sure it's much worse than that, but it's a secret society, the Tiger Inn. So Will Schaefer, I already asked you on X if you are the auto pen, but I put that email in AI and it said it was an auto pen signature. So Donald Trump never saw your nasty email.